Agape. God, is it good to be with you today? I have so much I want to talk about, and I know I don't even have the time to talk about it, but let me just share with you. What is agape? Agape means unconditional love, the love of God operating through the human heart. And what we talk about at Agape is that love really means to accept. So when you're talking about loving yourself, it means accepting yourself just like you are. When you're talking about loving another person, it means accepting them as they are. Doesn't mean you have to spend time with them. Doesn't mean you have to, live with them, but you accept them because they're a unique, whole, and perfect expression of God. So if you're out there, check in. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know if there's comments. Let us know if there's things on your mind. Let us know what's troubling you. Let us know what are the topics that you want to have discussed, because this is for you. I will bring whatever topics you want so that we can cover them, because when we look at things, we can get a clearer understanding. And so, God, this week has been one of those weeks like I have never, ever experienced. And I'm sure it's the same for you. And so the key thing is I realized, my God, are we polarized? I thought we were polarized before, but we're polarized even more now. And people are asking me my opinions. And what I'm doing is I pray. I pray that the highest good for humanity, I pray for the highest good for the United States, I pray for the highest good of our leaders. At the end of this, after I finish my talk today, I will be doing a prayer written by Ernest Holmes for the leaders of the United States. I think it's appropriate that when we are in such contrast, to stay in the illusion and to deal with the conditions draws us deeper and deeper down a rabbit hole that we can't get out of. And I believe that we have to take a step up and go into a higher level of consciousness in order to deal with it. So before we begin with the talk today, let's go within. So I invite you to sit back. Get your back straight. Gently rest your hands on your lap. And gently close your eyes. And let my words be your words. Know that you are so much more than your physical body. Know that you are so much more than your ego mind. See yourself step out of your body, step out of your mind, and observe the body by itself. Observe the mind by itself and realize that you are the master of your mind. You are the master of your body. And your body and your mind are there to serve you. You are an infinite, individualized, unique, whole point of consciousness within infinite consciousness. There's nothing missing from you. If you feel there's something missing from you, it is the illusion of the body, it is the illusion of the mind. But the truth is, you are whole, you are perfect and complete. And in that whole and perfect state, there is no experience. It is the body and the mind that cause the experience, but when we get into oneness, everything becomes void. There is nothing. Nothing to see, nothing to hear, nothing to taste, nothing to touch, nothing to smell. Perfect peace. At the core of all that we are perfect peace. And as peace, we get to create the experience of life that we choose. And we do so through the power of our mind, because we are the masters, and we either can create unconsciously or we can create consciously. It's our choice. So I invite you to let that seep deep within you. And then just be grateful that you have this life, you have this body, you have this mind. And what a joy it is now to come into truth and know that you are the master. So gently bring your awareness back to this time, to this place. Move however it is, and when you're ready, open your mind. As you contemplate that visualization, what came up for you? Share with me in the comments section about what surfaced for you. Could you believe it? What didn't you believe? Was it hard for you to even imagine it? What is it that pulls you back into the body, pulls you back into that identification? Or did you have the experience? Share with me and share with the rest of the community. So today I want to talk about how to see through life's illusions. And I think there's no greater time in the world than to look through the illusions of life. What I understand is that as you're viewing me through this camera, you're seeing a certain picture, but you're not seeing everything else that's around me that would create a whole different picture. And that's true in life. You may look at a couple and think that this couple has the greatest relationship in the world. They live in the best house. They have the finest cars, the finest clothes. They've got the greatest social circle. But you're not seeing what's going on inside. You're not seeing when they're not in public. You're simply getting their Facebook profile. And so what you're really seeing is an illusion. Because the only thing that is not an illusion is when you see the totality of it. And when we see the totality of it, we realize it includes everything. Every aspect possible would be included. One of the things that I understand is that we, because we are individualizations of life, we're individualizations of nature, we're individualizations of the infinite mind, we're infinitizations of the thing itself. If you prefer, call it God, but it's not a being. It's a consciousness. It is the only consciousness, the one consciousness, the infinite consciousness. Because of that, because we're individualized expressions of that consciousness, we are naturally free. And it is our level of awareness, where we put our focus, that determines what we experience. You see, we can look at a picture and see one thing, but if we turn our head and look at it slightly different, we'll see a completely different image. So today, as you start listening to people talk about what's going on in the world, what happened in the United States, realize it's their levels of awareness that is determining what they're experiencing. It is not the truth. Are you hearing what I'm saying? It is not the truth, because it changes based on how you look at it. See, our level of awareness opens the door to greater levels of experience. It's like a camera lens. When that camera lens is focused really fine, it sees a very, very, very small part of the picture. But the more you open up that lens, the broader the lens opens, you get a greater picture. So you can see a very, very wide landscape, or you could see one focused on a butterfly. That's the same thing with life. When we open our awareness, we see the greater picture. And here's what I'll say to you. The more finely focused your awareness, I believe the more pain you will experience, because you don't see the full picture. You are only seeing a fraction of what is really out there. And I think this week is a fine example of that. We have to realize that what is happening in the world today is that which is needing to be healed is being brought up. And when it's being brought up, we can now look at it. We can shine a light on it, and we can move beyond it. What we're seeing happening out there on both sides of the coin, it's always been there. This is not something new coming up. These are things that have been buried within that are now being brought to the surface. And so being brought to the surface, now we can look at them and we can begin the healing process, which is seeing the truth. You see, when we live in awareness, we can realize our true life purpose. But if we're not aware, we're going to live by the purpose of others, by what we believe our parents wanted for us, what the church wanted for us, what the business wanted for us, what the television wanted for us, what the political leaders want. We don't have our own purpose because we're not aware. We're thinking that everyone else has got it. But when you level the awareness and you realize you're an individualization, a point of consciousness of the infinite, and that you're free to experience anything by how far you open that lens, that is a great thing. So let's talk about our purpose. I believe our first purpose is to connect with ourselves, with others, and with life itself. I believe it's about becoming more aware, understanding our truth, and in understanding our truth, knowing the truth for others. And then after that, knowing the truth about life. That life is our playground where we get to express and to experiencing anything we want when we learn how to use natural laws. So our first purpose is to become aware and to connect with the truth of ourselves, with the truth of others, and the truth of life itself. I believe that once we've done that, I believe our second purpose is to create. That's right, to create new life experiences. But what happens is we become a recording that's on a loop, and it just keeps replaying over and over and over and over and over again. And we become numb, we become bored. And I think a lot of people are living in that right now. I believe that in order to create, what you've got to do is you've got to still your mind and not go to the past to create, but to still your mind and ask good quality questions and say, what would be the next step to my higher expression, to a greater experience of love, to a greater experience of health, to a greater experience of connection, to a greater experience of a career, of giving my gift to the world. And when we're asking the question about what would be my next step to a greater, our imagination opens up to a more infinite idea, an infinite possibility, and we will be guided to that next step. And once we got that next step, then we use the creative process. And the creative process is we build a belief. We build a belief that what we desire is already ours now, until that belief is so deeply entrenched within us, it is automatic, it is unconscious, and as we believe it, we are actually living it. The belief comes true. And then what do? We create again, because we are eternal creators. Now here's a key. No matter what you're creating, no matter who you think you are, what you think others are, our third purpose is to fully experience everything. Do you get that? I believe that we're in this physical body with these 5 senses, with all of the people around us, all of the nature around us, all of the possibilities to experience everything. And realize in our ability to experience everything, we have to have contrast. Without contrast, there could be no experience. We have to have the contrast of bondage in order to understand and experience freedom. And maybe that's what's happening right now. Maybe we've taken freedom for granted. And maybe the contrast of being confined to our homes as we fight this pandemic that's going on out there is teaching us the value of health, teaching us the value of freedom. Maybe what's happening out there in the political process is to tell us about, wait a second, it's not an ideology I want to focus on, because if I focus on an ideology, what have I done? I've turned the camera lens so I'm focusing on a very small piece. No, I want to raise the camera lens. I never, ever, ever want to be labeled something. When we label ourselves as something, we limit ourselves. When we limit ourselves, we limit our experience. So if you say, I'm a Democrat, you've limited yourself. If you say, I'm a Republican, you've limited yourself. Here's who I am. I'm a free expressing independent. I'm not a part of any party. I am open to possibilities to help others. I'm open to the possibility of a capitalism that works for everyone. I'm open to the idea of a collaborative capitalism. Not a greedy capitalism, but a collaborative. I'm open to collaborative relationships, not relationships that are compromising, because compromise means both people lose. Collaboration, we're finding a new way of looking at it so that we both win. So how about collaborating toward health? How about collaborating toward relationships? How about collaboration toward creating better jobs? How about collaboration to becoming wealthy? Everybody wins. Now, I know that's rather utopian, but I believe in infinite possibility. Therefore, I believe that that possibility is there. And here's the key thing. Why not start the journey? And while we're on the journey, why not fully experience everything? Because as we fully experience it with a broad view, we know when we go off course, and then we can adjust. And you see, that's what it is. It's a journey. We're never going to get to the end. We're never going to get to the end. You get that? The only end we get to is when we lose the body. And it's really not the end. It's just the end of our human existence. See, the more aware we become, the more we realize that life is an illusion, and we become better able to release any and all attachments to this life. All the great avatars, all the great spiritual guides have talked about that life is an illusion. And they talk about that the source of all suffering is our attachments. So if you're attached to being free and not being able to wear a mask right now, you're going to suffer. If you're attached that your candidate lost the election, you're going to suffer. And guess what? It's your choice. Because you have a choice to become more aware and to see the greater picture of life. I'm not saying to see the right life. I'm saying to see the greatest possible picture of life that you can. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the divine, what we call the divine, the thing itself, spirit, infinite mind, God, doesn't care who won the election, doesn't care that there's a pandemic, because it is whole and perfect and complete all the time. It doesn't know anything other than that. The key thing to understand is there's a part of you, the observer, that knows and experiences that same thing. So as we go through this week, I thought that I would leave you with an affirmation, something that you can turn to, that you can say all week long to help you as we start to go through these difficult times. I believe that 2021 will dwarf 2020. I think we're going to see more change than you can even imagine. So it's time that we become more resilient. It's a time to rebirth. It's a time to anchor into our truth as opposed to the illusion. So with that in mind, here's the affirmation. It's real simple. The affirmation is, I am aware. And when you say that affirmation, realize there's a bigger picture. And no matter how big the picture gets, the picture can get bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's a never-ending journey about becoming more aware. Try this out. Use this affirmation for a week, and then next week, let me know how it works for you. So I thought today, instead of just doing an individual prayer, I would do a prayer for the leaders of the country. This is a prayer written by Dr. Ernest Holmes, one of the most, in my mind, magnificent teachers that ever came to the planet. He is the founder of the science of mind, and I honor and respect him as a teacher. So I would ask you, if you would with me, close your eyes and just hear these words. I know that divine intelligence governs the destiny of the United States of America, directing the thought and the activity of all who guide its affairs. I know that success, prosperity, and happiness are the gifts of freedom and the divine heritage of everyone in this country, and that they are now operating in the affairs of every individual in this country. I know that divine guidance enlightens the collective mind of the people of this country, causing it to know that economic security may come to all without the loss of either personal freedom or individual self-expression. I know that no one can believe or be led to believe that personal freedom must be surrendered in order to ensure economic security for all. The all-knowing mind contains the answer to every problem which confronts this country. I know that every leader in this country is now directed by this all-knowing mind and has the knowledge of a complete solution to every problem. Each is impelled to act upon this knowledge to the end that the abundance, security, and peace shall come to all. And I know that this spiritual democracy shall endure, guaranteeing to everyone in this country personal liberty, happiness, and self-expression. In gratitude, I speak these words into the law, knowing that they are made manifest, it is done, and I release it and say, and so it is. Amen. Just breathe that in. That is becoming aware that there's a higher consciousness and implanting that higher consciousness in your mind. So I want to tell you, if you enjoyed what you heard here, do me a favor and share this on social media. Get this message out to more and more people. Let them know about the Agape Spiritual Center and all that we have to offer and how we accept everyone as they are. We understand that everyone is a unique expression of God. And if you want to help support this ministry, you can see a link either on your Facebook page or on the YouTube channel. Make a donation. If you don't want to make it now, go to the agapespiritualcenter.com and make a donation there. Your donation allows us to bring this message to greater and greater and greater numbers of people. I want to share last week that we had 5 groups that got together. We had a group in Europe, a group in the East Coast, a group in Texas, a group on the West Coast, and we had the Agape Men's Group. And we met as a community, different times on Zoom. If you want to be a part of that, you can go to the agapespiritualcenter.com website, and you'll notice it's out there, and you'll find the Zoom links there. But what I really want to talk to you about is, in about a week and a half, we're starting a couple classes. Classes are on spiritual principles and how to better self-love. One is on Monday, one is on Tuesday. I would love for you to sign up for those classes and join me as we take a journey together to become more aware. We can journey on greater spiritual principles. We could journey on turning that camera down to self-love. If you want, you can take both classes. They're an hour and a half. One is on Mondays for 5 weeks. One is on Tuesdays, I believe, for 6 weeks. You'll find all the details at agapespiritualcenter.com. Just go to the classes and you'll see all the information you have there. So I want you to know how valuable you are and how grateful I am that you're a part of this community and a part of my life. And if I can be of service to you, if I can support you, let me know. Because one of the things we talk about as Agape, if you need support, you have to ask. Because asking is perseverance.